Hey yo, YouTube! What's the word, family? I'm back with another banger for you and the family. So come enjoy, have a seat. Why, thank you. Why don't you smash that ravishing like button while you're at it? Because you know I'm a YouTube addict. I can't get off live. I'm addicted. You know why? Because I gotta let my chest get light. Because it's heavy and it's like, it's a lot going on out here in America. They ain't ready for the real podcast. The truth shall set you free. And we here today to discuss how everything ain't what it seems. You gotta look beyond the surface. You gotta go deep into the rabbit hole because it just keep getting deeper. I mean, every time I turn around, this story just gets more interesting and entertaining and exciting. I mean, you can't even sustain the ability, to contain oneself with all of this information and all of this action that's taking place. It's like, it's really a fiasco that they having out there in Nashville with this dude. I mean, the FBI's getting involved. I mean, it ain't like people ain't seeing it coming too. I mean, everybody called it. We been saying, it's gonna be something happening if the FBI don't step in. They playing games, but we seen it from afar, miles and miles away, and it's just looking like it's gonna be an all-out race war out there or across the country somewhere. Tensions is building up. It's like they gotta play on that, to keep your mind distracted and stuff. Because why is all of this transpiring? Like, the FBI could have been stepped in and arrested him and, detained him so that, nobody can so they could thwart the attack. Like, they knew it was coming. They not stupid. So now, dude shot somebody, shot a black man, and shot his goddamn self. And found out he got a trans girlfriend that's black. All on top of that. Like, it's just too much coming out with this story. It's like, it ain't enough yet. Are you not entertained? This thing right here is a fool, B. You know what I'm saying? Like, we gotta really dive deep. Like, we gotta analyze it. Go to school on this joint right here, because I can't wrap my mind around it. Like, it just keep, like, the whole thing with Boston Richie and Epstein and all that was coming out, all of this around the same time. Like, it just, what the hell is going on in America, man? I don't want nothing to do with none of this stuff, man. This stuff is just, it's the devil's work. It's nasty out here, man. Like, what are we really talking about here? This stuff. You gotta close the curtains, man. I don't want to know, man. I'm like Mario with this shit. I don't want to know if you play. Yo, what is going on in America today, family? I'm telling you, yo, it's like every time I turn around, it's a new story going up, going down. It's just so much excitement around this joint. Now you gotta get a handle on this thing. Yeah, we gotta make this clear, man. Like, this is just all the way left. You know what I mean? And we just keep seeing more and more come out every time you look. It's like the next one dropping, the next info or whatever. It's like, what the heck is going on out there, man? Are they serious? They going off. Like, Chud, you really is a character. Where did you come from, bro? Like, this dude is an agent for real. Like, he's trying to bait. He's rage baiting, race baiting, gay baiting. He's doing all of the baits. Like, and then you see he just blew up, went viral off of trying to diss and antagonize black people. And, they like it. They like you to crash out. They want to see people upset and, in this controversial type of setting, going back and forth. They like the clash, you know what I'm saying? They gotta sell papers, they gotta sell drama. So this is the last resort. They gotta bring back a race war now to try to keep us all caught in our feelings and emotions instead of just dealing with it with how we was taught and how we was raised, and knowing how to react and how these things are gonna attract certain negative reactions. That's what they trying to do. They trying to build and make animals out of people. Why else do you think they would make this dude so rich, so viral, get all of these clicks and views? Listen, it's only Instagram, Facebook, whatever these platforms that's giving him the hand up and the opportunity to destroy and talk negative thoughts on a whole race. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't blame him. You gotta also look at the platform that's putting his face, putting his messages all across. Why wouldn't they flag that? Isn't hate speech supposed to be banned? Isn't any form of hate towards any group supposed to get an account, whatever, removed? Uh, we see it with Kanye. We see it with, all of these dudes in the industry. So who is he? How is he able to get through and keep pushing out these messages to affect and to try to, you know, make people cause death threats and, try to antagonize people for uh just a thrill or a click or view, you want to try to get some attention. How can that be possible if we know that when it comes to other groups they don't allow it, but when it comes to us, they letting it fly? So you got to understand that this is why we got to remain positive, even if the system is not going to be filtering out who they're allowing to speak and destroy and teach the youth that it's okay to use these slurs and to do these behaviors to cause a commotion or to cause an uprising or uproar. You see, that's a real uprising, what he did. See, the stuff with me, when I made the news, just talking and having, dialect and conversation, that was just regular, everyday stuff that people do. But just because it was recorded, that's why they said when it came to women, it was sensitive and not to do it. But this right here, what this dude is doing, is a million times worse. Like, he's trying to cause people to get hurt or hurt himself, in which he did. He shot himself. He shot the black man that attacked him coming out of court. For the FBI arrested him, trying to get him to give up his devices and, his antics and everything else that, they thought. But we see that it's more than what meets the eye. Like, this guy, he's doing it for fame. Like, he's doing it to get notoriety, and then now you could transfer that into business and become, you could become essential in the communities and be able to start building your own career. You know what I'm saying? So that's what he's doing. He's just trying to cause people to go back and forth and go against each other, which is not fair, because they should be blocking and they should be stopping his messages from even getting on to the internet in the first place. When they do the checks and they do because it ain't like they don't know what's going on. So when he's uploading and posting and they still letting it go through, I'm looking at YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all these platforms too. Like, they creating and they making this stuff go even bigger and letting it spark out of control because they not just cutting it from the beginning saying, hey, this is not content now. This is you trying to bully and harass, a whole group. So that's what we really got to look at too. Like how these platforms is even monetizing or allowing this dude to do what he do. But it should have never got this far in the first place, because if they would have just nipped it in the butt and removed his account, he would have never had the opportunity to do what he's doing now. That's what I'm saying. So you got to look at the overall bigger picture. Like they stirring the pot, they making it hot. They want to see you crash out. They want to see you get shot, get arrested, going through some traumatic experience. So now they can monetize off of your pain. That's the whole thing that they doing in the hood, man. They making it rain. They airing it out. So it's like when it come to us and our babies, they not hearing it. They leaving us out here to die. You see me, I can't get no help to save my life. And it's like, you see, I'm right there. I'm right on the brinks of about to breach a whole new level, the way that I'm reaching, the way I'm making it, showing improvements and getting great to do this and become, one of the greatest streamers of the world, because you got to start young, but it's like, it's never too late. There's people in their 60s, 70s that's a make it. And they could, take breaks from work or, not have to work as hard because they got that second income. That's what I'm trying to show people how to do. And, move around the traps and the nets that they trying to catch you in. See, the internet, it's a trap, it's a net. That's the meaning of the web. That's why they use those terms to acknowledge exactly what this is. It's a web. You get caught in it. You trying to get information, you trying to give and send signals, and all it's doing is analyzing all of your information and your data. This is why it's dangerous, letting people have access to your devices, because now they can, try to defame your character, or they can steal your identity, all type of stuff through this internet. So this is why you really got to be witty and careful about, what you even allow or let reach the public. Because once that back door gets open and they gain access, it's nothing, they could crash your whole spyware, which will, destroy your hard drive. And, now you got to replace hard stuff that you worked for, because that's what it takes. You got to protect, you got to use that spyware, you got to use them tools to not let them bugs and devices infect you, not only just your phones and your computers, but your mind. You know what I'm saying? Because your mind is a hard drive, so they can tap into it. You know what I'm saying? They could use the data, they could look at who you are and how you operate, where you are. There's portals, you know what I'm saying? So everywhere you go, there's signals in the sky that's your phone is tracking you and, collecting data to give to spies or to people in other countries who want to try to get rich off of our lives and, our hard work. So that's why you got to really be wise and understand what's going on when it comes to these people, like these type of streamers that's just doing what they're getting paid to do. He's not the brains of the operation. He obviously has a team, he has a support, he has a system, so it's not just him. He's more of a victim than he is a leader, because no man is gonna just come out all of a sudden and be this character. You know what I'm saying? It's like, nah, they propped him up. He was a plant from the beginning. And they knew it was they sat around and thought about it, and they knew that was going to be the perfect way to stir up and become rich and get views and clicks and, To do what they doing is just to get people to go back and forth at each other. And, so that's the whole situation with the Chudthebuilder. Is just they trying to create a distraction. It's a plot to get people to want to now attack instead of just playing defense and staying away from the ops. Now they trying to bait you to go to war and be this person and whatnot. So we got the Chudthebuilder situation. Then we got the whole Rihanna, Steffon Diggs. They was getting busy today, after Mother's Day, going at it back and forth like Bobby and Whitney, of course, on TMZ. So you could go check that out. You could see, how this whole thing is cracking. Because we going to continue to crank it. But we ain't acting like, it's not perfect or whatever. But we understand the mood and the tone. So, we understand that Cardi, she feel like it's worth it. So she going to put up with, it until she get tired of it. But it's like, yo, you was just with Offset, your husband. How you going to divorce him and now go to this? And he doing the same thing. So it's like, it wasn't the cheating. It just, you probably just didn't want to be with him no more or whatever the case may be. But it's like, you can take it when it comes to this one, but not the other. It's like, come on, y'all be capping. It's really not about that. It's just that you jealous, but you know what come with it, but you want to act starstruck or you want to act surprised. When you see that a dude want to go his way or do his thing, it's like, you got to understand nature and how men move and how, what they do is not the same as a woman or what they will want. So, of course, we live different lives and have different mindsets to get through where we got to go to thrive and, make things happen and whatnot. But, we here, we survive and we making it work. Staying out the way. Finding ways to uplift and gift every day, because you got to get up, you got to give it your all. Getting a little tired here, man, but you know what it is. We got to keep pushing out the chemistry so they can read and get the data on how we break down these celebrity gossips, man, because honestly, it's a mockery, chaotic. They want to cause chaos. They agents of chaos and destruction, man. That's the things that you don't want to mess with, because they in love with seeing you sad and down and out, and they happy, they glad, that you stuck and you stagnated from getting to that next level. They don't want to see you get up. They don't want to see you push through the struggle and just live it up to your best life. They want to keep you going back and forth, like, type of stuff. And, that's what it is. It's like chess, man. This life game, you gotta think for the long term and not get left. Because it's easy to, if you don't have a purpose or a message that you letting it resonate, and receiving it, so you can absolutely be able to demonstrate the actual ins and outs of what it takes. You gotta be independent, man. Success, it ain't easy, but if you take the right steps, then you'll make it. One way or another, you gotta break it down. Don't let them take it. Don't let them keep you down, your courage, your tenacity. That's what's gonna keep you from being in that depression. And you got the activities, you able to, battle it with a better festive view. Cause it's like what they trying to do already, so you can't feed into it. You can't begin to let these things keep you in a stage or in a box. You know what I mean? You don't want to be contained. You want to be able to put yourself at the top whenever you need to, as necessary. It's a lot going on out here, man. So as long as you keep yourself and you keep your mind at ease, you could begin to help and begin to push and be able to sidestep the attack that these, they want to put, the threats. They want you to be less. They count you out. But we already know the stress, the trauma, the letdown, the hurt. It all comes with it. So you gotta be able to work, you gotta be able to move forward and put yourself first. And not let yourself get lost and understand what you came for and stay aware. So you could just go off, could just go off the vibe. And you ain't gotta really think about it too much, you know what I mean? You could just keep surviving, maintaining, thinking about the right way to live and to get beyond, that finish line. That's what it's all about. Once you cross that, they can't tell you nothing. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta be able to stick it out, stay en route. Motion, man, that's the name of the game. Once you devoted, you got the same routine, you following it. You could be anything you want to be, man. Like, the world is yours. It's in your palms, of course. So you gotta know how to dig deep and let them thoughts, replenish. Give you the power, give you the courage, give you the strength to finish. Because it's so easy to give up. A lot of people quit, man, before they get their big break. And it's like, I'll never forget, I'll never let myself be, I'll never forgive myself if I let the time pass without even trying to put my all into it, where I got nothing left. Because I lasted, man. I made it. 7 years on this YouTube game. We still making hits. We still going viral. We still doing what we do. It's just a matter of time. The clicks and views, they keep going up. So we're not going to complain. We're just going to put in the work and stay tough. Stay dangerous. That's the way they want it. Because when you chilling, they ain't gonna never show you love. They gonna try to haunt you. Take your kindness for weakness, you know what I'm saying? And put you in a pine box. Lock you down, lock you up. Now you forgot about. No mail, no visits, just jail and a whole lot of time. Asshole full of parole on your mind. That's all they trying to give you. One Negro down. One in, one out. The cycle, that's how it goes, man. That's what they're about. So you gotta roll. You gotta stay on your mount, stand on your square, baby. Don't fold, man. Tell him, got the gift, you just gotta put it out there, let it do what it do. It's gonna click, it's gonna view. You know, people gonna see, people gonna say what they say. Some people gonna move on, some ain't gonna care, some ain't gonna give up. They gonna tell you like it is, where you need to be, where it's at. So you just gotta see it, believe it, make it happen.